A lot of people will tell you after a breakup that you need to learn to love yourself. You've got to love yourself first before you can love somebody else. And this is true, 100%. I agree with it. But this concept is so confusing. I mean, it's just very vague. Like, what are the instructions to love myself? Because you can go a lot of different ways with this. What does loving yourself mean? What is the process of loving myself? How do I love myself more? And I'm going to talk about one major thing I've done to love myself more. And it is very weird. And many people have looked at me like I'm crazy for doing this. But it's honestly one of the best things I've done for myself. So let's back up a bit. Loving yourself means that you have to find value in who you are. And so when I first heard this, it was like, years and years and years ago when I went through one of my first breakups, I heard this from somebody. You have to learn to love yourself first. Only then can you love somebody else. And they said it in a very, like a sage type way, like they were very wise. And I looked at them and like, that doesn't make any sense. But it's funny, I heard a lot of people say this stuff. So I started thinking like, okay, what is loving yourself? Is it saying positive affirmations in the mirror? Is it writing down positive characteristics about yourself? Is it, just singing to yourself in the shower, like, I love you. Like, what is it? Well, really it comes down to acts of self-improvement. It's literally just acts of self-improvement on a day-to-day basis. So working out is loving yourself. Taking time to relax is loving yourself. Reading a book is loving yourself. Doing things to improve who you are, that's what loving yourself really is. But there are some activities that are not necessarily aligned with self-improvement that equate to you loving yourself. And one of the biggest ones is taking yourself out on a date. Sounds weird, right? Let me explain. I did this and I thought it was weird at first, but I really fell in love with the process of it. Many times when we're eating food, we're watching Netflix, we're watching something on our cell phone, we're engaged in some kind of stimulation, and the food is like a secondary, it's more so a thing that we're doing while we're doing something else. Because eating food can be a mindless behavior. I can crush a salad, I can crush a steak, I can crush a lot of food while doing something else. I'm a CEO and I work all the time. So a lot of the times when I'm working, I'm eating food as well. And so I had to really calm myself down to really engage in this process. You take your girlfriend out to eat. You take your boyfriend out to eat. You go to dinners with your partner all the time. But have you ever taken yourself out to eat to a new restaurant you haven't been to before and just sat by yourself and had a conversation with who you are in that moment in your own head? Probably not. Seems weird. I would pull up to restaurants by myself and say, table for one. And they'd be like, what? And yeah, I'm just eating by myself. And they'd be like, this guy got stood up. The waiter would come and be like, what are you doing by yourself? Are you waiting for another one? And sometimes they wouldn't even show up to the table until like 5-10 minutes later because they felt like somebody else should have been there. And they come by like, hey, are you expecting anybody? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm just by myself. I'm just taking myself out to eat. And they'd be like, okay, yeah, that's cool. Haha. And they'd be like, this guy's weird. But I love doing this. I would go to new restaurants by myself and just eat dinner by myself. I would try things on the menu. I would have appetizers and I wouldn't pull my cell phone out. This is not me listening to audio or on the phone with somebody or on FaceTime. Like, this is just me by myself, eating food, enjoying everything, taking myself out to eat, treating myself. You pay for food with other people. Why don't you do it by yourself? Why don't you do it for yourself? This is what self-love is about. Doing things that you haven't done before and engaging in new activities that make you a better person. While you're sitting there by yourself, it sucks. You definitely feel a little lonely, but it's about embracing that loneliness and really understanding that this person left you, this person walked out of your life, what happened, and you are here enjoying a dinner by yourself because at the end of the day, all you've got in this life is you. You're the only person that's going to be there for yourself 100% of the time. So you got to learn to embrace yourself. You've got to learn to love yourself. You've got to learn to treat yourself how you would treat another person. Only when you treat yourself very, very well can you start to really give that to another person. Why would you give love, time, attention, energy, resources to somebody else when you can't even do it for yourself? And I realized something when I started doing this. I would pay for like $100, $200 dinner for somebody else, but I never did it for myself. I would never do it for myself. I'd be like, I save money, I'll cook at home. That's what I would always do. I would never take myself out to a nice dinner. This was the first time I ever did it. I would never go try new restaurants just by myself. I would always do it with somebody else because I want it to be an experience. I want us to remember it together. I would never do nice things for me. I would never buy nice things for myself. Even till this day, I really don't get a lot of nice things for myself. It's something I have to kind of work on. I'll buy everybody in my family nice things before I buy myself something nice. And so I've learned to realize that, loving yourself is something that you have to train yourself on. When you're a very giving person, a very loving person, and you just want to see other people happy and smile around you, you tend to forget that you need to smile sometimes as well. You tend to forget that you need to start pouring love into who you are. And taking yourself out to dinner is probably the weirdest thing you've probably ever heard, but it's where you should start. And sit there in your own thoughts by yourself at this restaurant. And yeah, it sucks a little bit. You might feel a little lonely. You might feel like this person should be with you. And you might see all the other people around enjoying themselves with their partners, but take happiness in the fact that you're not in this toxic relationship anymore. Take happiness in the fact that you're not being cheated on. Take happiness in the fact that this person that does not want you in your life is not bothering you, is not pestering you. They don't want you, right? They don't want to be with you, whatever it is. They have demonstrated that this relationship is not going to work, and now you're back out on your own. And that's a very scary thing. It sounds depressing when I say it, but honestly, it's the most freeing thing out there, because now you can do whatever you want to do. You can engage in new relationships that are even better than the old one. You have to make space mentally for the new things that are coming into your life. And I want you to look at all the other people at the restaurant as inspiration. Look how happy they are. Look how in love they are. Look at the wonderful things that they have in their relationship. I would look at them and be inspired and admire them and be like, that's fucking awesome. I love that. And I would also see situations where people were arguing and, a girl would be very upset, even though a guy is taking her out to dinner, or, there would be situations where I could see the tension and I'd be like, man, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that. Sometimes people watching is an amazing thing. Eating by yourself is an amazing thing because you get to connect with who you are. And I had a lot of my great ideas when I was sitting by myself eating. And I was so tempted to take out my phone and write them down, but I stopped myself. I'm like, hey, look, I got to enjoy this moment with myself. I've got to really be intentional about who I am. I've got to have a conversation, an inner dialogue with me. So take this time to ask yourself, how are you? And ask yourself, how do you feel today? Questions that you would, kind of ask your date. And then kind of answer them in your head. I feel okay. I feel a little sad. And then try to have a conversation with yourself. This is a weird exercise. And I would sit there probably with a weird look on my face, eating this food, enjoying this food, and trying new things, trying new appetizers, and just really discovering who I am at a deep level. So I hope you guys take yourself out to eat. If you have never done this before, definitely just stop what you're doing and go do this right now. Go do this tonight. I hope this made sense. I hope this helped you guys out in some way, shape, or form. If you find this audio helpful, definitely share it with somebody. Definitely give us a recommendation on our Spotify, on our Apple. Follow us on YouTube. I love to connect with you guys, so feel free to DM me on Instagram if you ever have any questions for me. And until next time, guys, Sumi out.